So it's been a pretty rough couple years for F-Zero fans. Yeah, you haven't had a game in a while, have you? When was your last big console release? The GameCube? Kinda sucks, doesn't it? Don't worry though. It's okay. Acclaim's got your back. Yeah. Why don't you try a little Extreme G? Released for the Nintendo 64, Extreme G is like, well, it's like F-Zero or Wipeout or any other futuristic racer, except it's got lasers and motorcycles and pulse rifles and rocket launchers and sloppier gameplay and dark and muddy graphics. Okay, let's get into it. This game gets intense and fast. These bikes whiz down the track, assuming you can stay off the walls, which I can't. 1, I suck at racing games, and 2, I really suck at this game. I cannot for the life of me keep these bikes from hitting the walls. And you can beat easy mode doing this, but you crank up that difficulty and you're done. I guess it could be the track design. It's a little uninspired. The tracks are just tracks. There's nothing overly special about them. And a few of them seem a little bit glitchy, like this one with the tubes. It seems like unless you're one of the faster bikes, you just can't clear the jump. So for each race you get 3 boosts, which go extremely freaking fast. So you know what, you better use them on a straightaway. Luckily, each track generally has at least one of these. As you race around, you pick up power weapons, some of which are pretty good, like this rolling thunder thing and the heat-seeking missiles. But others, like this grenade launcher type thing, just kinda fall flat. There's also a laser you can use to slow down your enemies. You start with this and can use it whenever you want, but it runs out of ammo pretty fast. The bottom line is, despite the fact that there are weapons, you're still going to need to be a pretty good racer to win. The tracks are really winding and have lots of cool loop-loops and dips and stuff like that, but there's nothing completely mind-bending. The best part's when you enter a tube and can go on the ceiling and stuff, but you don't really want to do that because when you emerge at the other end you might just fall to your death. There are a lot of bikes to choose from, and a lot of them are really cool looking too with different stats. I love the purple one with the monster face. That's awesome. The visuals themselves are kind of a mixed bag. Some of the brighter levels look good. I really like the alien desert. That's cool. But then others are so muddy and dark, it's hard to tell what's what. Am I in a city or an industrial area? I don't know. It also makes it hard to tell what's going on sometimes. If you're in a dark tunnel, you don't really know which way to go. Sometimes you'll go through a boost on the track, you'll find these lines of fire that make you go faster, and you won't even know until you start speeding. Extreme G sports a rockin' soundtrack. In fact, that's one of the game's greatest strengths. There's nothing quite like racing down the track with this music playing. It just kicks all kinds of ass. So that is a freaking cool title. Extreme G! Oh yeah! It's awesome! Except the game doesn't really live up to that title. It's kind of like Average G! Yeah! Pretty good G! Decent G. When playing through the Extreme Challenge Grand Prix mode, it's hey, you play the first cup and there's a whole bunch of levels, and you play the second cup and you get some new levels, but you gotta play some of the first levels again. That seems a little bit lazy to me. It's like they didn't have enough tracks to fill up 3 cups. Granted, each cup has more and more tracks than the previous one, but still, come on. In addition to the Grand Prix and the multiplayer, you also have time trials, which is I guess a no-brainer for this kind of thing, but it's well put together and functions. And you have this mode where you gotta shoot drones. It's almost like the actual game should have had more of an emphasis on this, where you could actually destroy your opponents quite easily with your weapons. That might make it even harder, or even more extreme, but you know what? That'd be a welcome change. As it is, you can defeat your opponents in Grand Prix, but they're about as resilient as you, which is extremely so. I mean, I can slam off that wall the whole time and still make it through okay. I mean, if it's already so hard to begin with, just make it harder. Make a truly impossible racer for the hardcore crowd. Maybe that's a bad request. Maybe it's a good thing I'm not working for Acclaim. I mean, they know what they're doing, right? What? They're out of business? What? They made a BMX game where everyone's naked? Oh. Nintendo 64 had no shortage of good racing games. Mario Kart 64, Wave Race, F-Zero X, Diddy Kong Racing, Wipeout 64. Yeah, that's a solid lineup, and you're probably better off playing any of those over Extreme G. Having said that, there are worse games. Top Gear Rally comes to mind. What a disappointment. It all comes down to personal preference, but I'm not really into the more realistic racing simulators. Games like Gran Turismo or Forza, yeah, they look cool and I can acknowledge that they're well made, but if I'm going to play a racing game, it's going to have a motorcycle shooting lasers. It's going to be purple, and it better damn well have a monster mouth.